cold. Happy Homebrew Wednesday, everybody. The bubbling you can hear in the background is Dropkick Nate. That's right, it's Nate Pico, the winner of the SJ Pour Challenge 2014. Not the beer that won it, but it's one of his beer recipes. He kindly fired it through to me. There's a few people in the brew tubing community who've brewed it and put their videos up on YouTube of brewing the beer. So I thought I'd brew it as well and show you my rendition on my system of that beer. Now, if you want to brew that beer as well, which I think would be a really good idea if everybody on YouTube brewed that beer and did a video and raised the glass of Dropkick Nate to congratulate him for his win in the SJ Pour Challenge, I suggest you go and subscribe to Nate's channel, Under the Table Brewing, and ask him for the recipe. So, away you go. There's a clicky link down the bottom. Go and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to Nate's channel, because he's got some really interesting stuff. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on with the brew day. Alrighty, it is brew day. I am going to be brewing a Dropkick Nate. That's right. I was going to start at 9 o'clock this morning, but I got waylaid doing some firewood. So I had to clear off a whole bunch of branches from 10 great big pine trees that have been felled for firewood that is being used to raise money for Wainui Mata Cubs camp. Alright, I have some grains. I have 8.5 pound, 3.8 kg of 2-row, and 2 pound or 1 kg of Munich Type 2. So that's going to go into the mash tun. I also have some Eldorado from Yakima Valley hops and some Galaxy hops from Balin's. Actually, all the ingredients came from Balin's Brewery. I'll show you how far behind I am. My smack pack, the 1056, is ready to burst. Got to get this brewed before this thing goes boom. Never seen one of these blow up all by itself before. I wonder if they do. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different in this brew day. I am going to be using my mash tun to cool my wort down via the heat exchanger, because I want a whirlpool. Can't really whirlpool my kettle at the moment the way it's set up because the inlet and outlet are at the wrong place. So I'm going to use the heat exchanger instead of the parallel counterflow chiller to do the cooling, because it's a heat exchanger and it cools. Why didn't I think of that before? But anyway, in the mash tun, of course, I have a recirc tube, and so I can recirc all the wort through the heat exchanger, turn the element off on the heat exchanger and run cool water through the heat exchanger to cool the mass volume of the wort in there, and also whirlpool. Yay! It's then going to be pumped out of there and it's going to come all the way over here into the conical. So this is sitting there waiting. It actually needs another little sanitization. So I have 25 litres of water in the kettle coming up to boil, so that I can pump that through the hose lines into the conical and give it a final little sanitize, just to make sure the little pipe lines are clear. I pulled all these ball valves apart. Well, I had to pull them apart, but I'd given them a decent big clean and stripped everything down to make sure everything was nice and clean, because it had been sitting idle just for a little while. Got my blow off tube going down into a bucket, into a jug. Just got to put some water in the jug. Right. Yeast is in there acclimatizing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're at 19, 50 degrees. Should be coming down to about 18, but I'll set the temperature soon for my fermenting temperature. Right, without further ado, let's get some grains mashing, because my arm's getting sore bending that way. Okay. As everybody knows, I underlet. So underletting means I'm taking the volume of water here. There's 45 litres of water in my HLT. It's going to come out through here and go in, and it's going to fill up from the bottom of my grain bed. So what that does is it forces all the air out of the grain coming up, so I don't have any dough balls. And 45 litres, by the time it equalises evenly, it's given a decent protein rest for the grains because the temperature is equalised. And then I flick on my heat exchanger and recirc. Even underletting the fermenter and pumping boiling water from the kettle to clean the lines and the lid seal. Dropkick Nate is going to boil any minute. Well, not really any minute, probably about 5-10 minutes away possibly. So I'm going to clean out my mash tun. I have a bag that the grains came in. I have a scoop to scoop them out. I have soggy grains. Now the reason I'm doing that is I want to use my mash tun for whirlpooling. I'm just going to chuck the hot pellets in there straight away. I'm not going to bag them or anything like that. So I'm going to use the mash tun to whirlpool to extract out some of that hot pellet and use the heat exchanger for cooling it down. Just for shits and giggles. Just something different. Just to see how it works. Yeah. And through the magic of editing, mash tun is now clean. Cleaned in place. That's what a good design is all about. And we're nearly coming up to the boil. And we are off. Okay. So let this do its thing for 60 minutes, get the hop additions ready, and yeah, let's finish this beer off. Alrighty, first hop addition, 14 grams or half an ounce of Eldorado at 60 minutes. Boom, baby, boom! Last lot of hops, 28 grams or 1 ounce of Galaxy, in this case, Australian Galaxy. And she goes. For the last 5 minutes of the boil. Now I'm extending my boil by about 5 minutes. This one. Because my volume didn't quite hit where it was meant to hit. So I've got another 5 minutes to go. And then I'm going to transfer into the whirlpool. Here it is. Camera set up, ready to film all the action in the whirlpool. Go. Alrighty, we are going. I've put my recirc tube underneath the dip tube so that it doesn't float up and try and move, so that I can keep that recirculation from the bottom and moving up. So we've got a little bit of a whirlpool starting. So that's good. That means I can get my whirlpool hops, which are 28 grams of Eldorado and 28 grams of Galaxy. So that's an ounce each of Eldorado and Galaxy, and pop them in to the whirlpool. Done. Oops. Okay, let's just let this whirlpool. Clarity coming out of the kettle is pretty good, so I've got it pumping. Where am I? I've got it pumping out of the kettle, going underneath into the pump, and it's coming up through the stack and going through the heat exchanger and then coming back in. There she is. Whirlpool's not as fast as I'd like it, but hey, let's see how it works. Alrighty, we have whirlpooled for 30 minutes, so I've now turned on the heat exchanger and I'm cooling it down to pitching temperature. Alrighty, Dropkick Nate is done. It's chilled. I haven't put it into the conical yet. It's sitting there ready and waiting for it. But I had a little play around with whirlpooling in bits and pieces. Let's just try to put it out of the way. Playing around with whirlpooling. I'm still whirlpooling at a cooler temperature. Actually, the temperature is 22 degrees. So, it's pretty good. But, I want to aerate it. So I have my oxyacetylene, just the oxygen side of it, and I've put the line directly in because I have lost my connector for here that I can put it on my air stone. Duh. So I'm gonna go and have to pick up another one of those. So I've just sort of put it on gently on here, and I'm gonna feed in a little bit of oxygen. There she goes. Look at that for aeration. Woohoo! Yeah, man. This is how we aerate. Ah, look at that. Who needs a diffuser stone? Just inject pure oxygen directly in. Woohoo! Obviously the oxygen is blowing away the little bit of air that's coming through there. I should have a no return valve, blah 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 blah, but hey, we just jimming shit up. And we have some nice aerated beer. Word. How far can we crank this little puppy up? Look at those pretty little oxygen bubbles. Word of warning, when using oxygen, make sure that you don't have any naked flames. Ba-boom! You don't want to blow up the brewery. Haha, love it. There is my suitably aerated wort. Very suitably aerated. And it's still recirculating. Obviously it's cloudy. I could just injected a whole bunch of pure oxygen in it. Of course it's going to be cloudy. Who cares? Right, it's going into the fermenter. So the fermenter's sitting here. I have a blow-off tube going into water, so that should blow as I pump in from the bottom. Let's open it up. As I pump in from the bottom, it's going to come all the way from over here. Whoop, whoop. Whoop. Trip over a hose. Okay, all I need to do is switch this one to that way, and we now have beer going in, and we should have bubbles as it pushes out the oxygen. Oh, look at that. Brew day is done. Dropkick Nate is currently sitting in there, fermenting it away at a nice steady just under 20 degrees, which is just under 20 degrees. How about that? Blow off tube is waiting to blow off. No blow-offs yet, obviously, because I've only just pitched the yeast. Was it long brew day? Well, it wasn't really. Just trying new stuff. Cheers.
It is alive! Alive! Dropkick Nate is alive.
Alrighty, that was my brew day. Once that beer is finished bubbling and it's finished its dry hopping schedule, I will be bottling it up, and I'm sure to be sending a bottle all the way over to Nate so that he can taste my version of Dropkick Nate. Cheers, Nate. Have yourself another one.